The Church in the DR Congo, A Personal Perspective, Part 4, What Attracts People to the Church? The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints cooperates widely with other churches on issues of common concern and shares a core of essential, biblically consistent beliefs with other Christians. Paramount among these beliefs is that salvation comes only in and through the grace of God and the name of Christ. However, we also believe that the authority of the early Christian church, along with certain important doctrines and practices, were lost after the death of the original apostles and had to be restored in our day. Some of these doctrines and practices, including a renewal of spiritual gifts, continuing revelation, the need for modern prophets, and temple ordinances that can unite families across the generations, resonate deeply with many Africans. With an average of 1,800 new investigators per month at our mission alone, we had a hard time keeping up with the demand for copies of the Book of Mormon and other church literature. Kathleen typically ordered as many copies of the Book of Mormon as she was permitted at a time, but shipping and customs were slow and unpredictable, and it could take 3 months or more for them to arrive. One day, as Neonkonde drove us through the rural villages in Bas-Congo, we stopped to talk. I will never forget the eloquent explanation and fervent testimony of the Book of Mormon that Neon gave to this man. No less impressive was the sincere interest of the man himself in the book that was being shown to him. When we first arrived in Kinshasa, I hadn't anticipated the resonance the message of the Book of Mormon would have with the Congolese. But as we learned more about the situation of the people, we realized how relevant the story was to their everyday circumstances. The ostracism and oppression of the poor by the elite described in Alma 32, the wicked cabals of greedy and murderous Gadianton robbers who did infest the land, and power-hungry dictators who defy the will of the people and who are protected by their private militias. To the Congolese, Mosiah 29, 21, and 22 feels very contemporary. Quote, "And behold, now I say unto you, you cannot dethrone an iniquitous king, save it be through much contention, and the shedding of much blood. For behold, he has his friends in iniquity, and he keepeth his guards about him." End of quote. Since the DR Congo became independent in 1960, a transition in government has never taken place except through violence. Of course, the most important convincing power of the book is its positive message about Jesus Christ and his gospel. Dreams and visions are not unusual in the DR Congo, and the people recognize the ring of authenticity in the story of Joseph Smith. These are some of the chauffeurs and car washers we greeted nearly every day on our way to the mission office. Like Jesus' parable of the laborers who were engaged in different hours of the day as the needs of the field arose, they would sit together in the parking lot in plastic chairs. Those fortunate enough to have regular customers were waiting for a call. Those not so fortunate to have such patrons, hoping someone, anyone, would give them some work. One day as we walked through the parking lot, one of them complimented me on my watch and asked if I would give it to him. It was an inexpensive watch that Kathleen had given me when the battery on my first watch had swollen and popped off the watch face in the heat of the summer. But mission rules prohibited us from giving money or valuables to others, so I demurred with as much kindness as possible. Each day, however, he persisted with his question. Finally, a good answer to his question popped into my head. I said, "If, when you turn 100 years old, you invite me to your birthday party, I will bring this watch to you as a gift." He laughed and agreed, and it became a little bit of a game after that. At each time we passed them in the parking lot, he would say, "Don't forget my 100th birthday." During a brief visit last spring, our son Samuel brought 2 of the watches to Kinshasa. We presented them to Charlie and Trésor the week before we finished our mission. They were thrilled. In contrast to our security guard friends at the Résidence Azur, most of the security guards at the Crystal apartment where we lived wanted to talk with us about the gospel. Their appetite for the scriptures and other church literature was insatiable. We gave many referrals to the missionaries and had the chance to teach them in formal and informal settings. I will never forget the gratitude and joy of a security guard to whom we presented the Book of Mormon one afternoon. He studied it for much of the evening shift. The next morning, as we were leaving the building, he exclaimed to us his excitement about what he had read and felt. He said, "I have learned so much about the time between death and resurrection from Alma, more than I ever knew before." Along some of the streets that bordered the Avenue Triomphale, traffic robots operated at the intersections. At one such intersection, the robot is female. In celebration of the Jour de la Femme, Day of Women, it was clothed in a dress and wore large earrings. During busy times, human police officers would often stand below it. The police are neither paid well nor regularly, so sometimes, during the holiday seasons when they are trying to provide something special for their family, they may be particularly assertive about asking for money before letting you pass by. Coming home on a busy day in the holiday season, we noticed that more policemen than usual were stopping vehicles at this intersection. Everyone ahead of us was giving small amounts of cash to them. Missionary couples were instructed to avoid giving money, but in this case we decided to give the officer who stopped us a copy of the Book of Mormon we had in the car. He took it with joy, and immediately another policeman ran over and asked for a copy for himself as well. One day, policemen ordered me to stop on a very busy road. They blocked my way by parking a motorcycle in front of the vehicle. I refused to pay them. Some became angry, pounded on the truck, ripped the license plates off the front and back, and let the air out of the tires. Though it was a somewhat unreal situation, I knew I was not in any real danger. The poor policemen were just hungry, broke, and frustrated. I called our beloved office associate Pascal. He called the police station, and we were instructed to go there to pick up our license plates. The deputy, Jean Bosco, told us that although the police in DR Congo were kinder than anywhere else in the world, which was generally true, it was a barbarous thing to have treated a missionary the way they did. He said that on previous visits of church leaders to the DR Congo, he had organized a police escort for them. He said his officers had been favorably impressed with how they were treated as brothers by our visiting leaders. Finally, he said that he was satisfied with our explanations about the incident, and after we finished negotiations to bring the price of our penalty down, everyone agreed that I had done nothing wrong. He agreed to accept only $100, but only if we would also agree to bring him a copy of the Book of Mormon. Another day, as we were walking to work, we were greeted warmly by Honorine, a female police officer who had been baptized and confirmed the previous weekend. It was nice to have a friend on the force. The quality and stature of lay leaders at the local and regional levels is a great contributor to the reputation of the church. The number of Area 70s in the DR Congo has doubled twice in the last 5 years, from 1 to 2 to 4, significantly increasing the availability of training opportunities for stake and ward leaders. People respect and are attracted to the church by the personal integrity of members and the fiscal correctness of the organization and the way it operates. President Jean-Claude Mabaya told the following story.
Un jour, j'ai invité une autorité de la place pour assister à la conférence de pied, quand j'étais président de pied. Et il a assisté à la conférence, il a beaucoup apprécié notre façon de faire les choses, d'enseigner, et toutes les personnes qui sont passées pour fortifier, il a apprécié. Après, je devais les recevoir au bureau pour les remercier, et ainsi de suite. Je suis resté seul avec lui au bureau pour le remercier, et lui, il a exprimé les sentiments qu'il avait, dans tout ce qu'il a entendu, il était très content. Mais il m'a dit, il y a une question que je vais vous poser. Vous devez être franc à me donner la réponse. Nous étions déjà dans le centre de Pieux, un bâtiment construit par l'église. Et il y en avait déjà beaucoup dans la ville. Il m'a dit à cette question, je vous en prie, soyez francs et répondez-moi. Qui finance la construction de ces bâtiments? Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas une main noire qui donne de l'argent pour que vous puissiez construire de tels bâtiments? Puisqu'ils sont uniques. Aucune église ne construit des bâtiments comme le vôtre. D'où vous vient l'argent? Je lui ai dit que c'était la dîme. Il a dit non, dites-moi la vérité. Dans les autres églises, on donne la dîme aussi, mais ils n'ont jamais construit comme vous. Qui vous donne l'argent? Je lui ai beau parler de la dîme des membres. Il n'a pas compris. Il dit, je vais quitter ce bureau avec la vérité dans ma bouche. Alors j'ai pris le temps de lui expliquer comment ça fonctionne dans l'église. Dans l'église, nous avons une seule caisse Tout ce qui paye l'air dîme ici au Congo va dans cette caisse. Tout ce qui paye l'air dîme aux États-Unis va dans cette caisse. Qu'ils soient en Europe, qu'ils soient en Asie, qu'ils soient dans quel continent, l'air dîme va dans une seule caisse. De sorte que lorsqu'il y a des besoins à travers le monde, des constructions de bâtiments et de beaucoup d'autres choses que nous faisons, l'argent sort de cette même caisse. Vous avez raison, ce n'est pas la dîme des Congolais qui va construire un bâtiment comme celui-ci. Vous avez vraiment raison. Mais la dîme qui construit ces bâtiments est la dîme donnée par tous les membres à travers le monde.
C'est une bonne réponse.
C'est alors qu'il a compris. Il a dit ça, c'est la bonne réponse que je quitte avec dans votre bureau. Il dit, je peux vous dire que nous avons déjà envoyé des services de sécurité partout pour étudier et savoir d'où est-ce que vous tirez l'argent pour construire ces gens de bâtiments. Les recherches sont déjà en cours, mais ce que vous me dites, c'est une partie de la réponse.
Et aussi le fait que les dirigeants ne consomment pas la dîme en plus.
Je lui ai dit que nous n'utilisons pas la dîme que les membres donnent. Elle va dans une seule caisse. Personne ne touche. Je suis président de Pieux. Je ne suis pas payé par l'Église. Je travaille. J'ai mon travail. Je nourris ma famille. Mais tout ce que les membres donnent dans les paroisses, aux évêques, aucun évêque ne touche la dîme. Chaque évêque a son travail. La dîme entière de tous les dimanches va dans une caisse. Imaginez seulement que tous ceux qui sont aux États-Unis, tous ceux qui sont en Amérique du Sud, en Europe, en Asie, en Afrique, qui donnent leur dîme, cette dîme va dans cette même caisse. Combien par dimanche nous pouvons avoir comme argent? Il a dit beaucoup d'argent. Et si nous faisons une année, 2 ans, 3 ans, combien d'argent nous pouvons avoir? Il a compris que ce n'est pas la dîme des Congolais qui construit les bâtiments, mais c'est la dîme donnée à travers tout le pays. Il dit que c'est une chose qui ne se fait pas dans les autres églises. Parce qu'au Congo, on sait que lorsque les membres donnent la dîme, c'est l'argent du pasteur. Il construit ce qu'il peut construire, mais le reste, c'est son argent. Je lui ai même posé la question. Imaginez-vous que si cet argent-là était l'argent des Congolais, est-ce que moi, en tant que président de Pieux, j'allais construire un bâtiment comme celui-ci? Il a dit non. C'est ça la vérité. Nous n'utilisons pas l'argent du Seigneur pour nous-mêmes, mais c'est pour les besoins de l'Église, tout simplement. Petit à petit, ces gens qui ne sont pas membres de l'Église commencent à comprendre comment fonctionne l'Église. Une autre chose que les gens disaient et qui était une aberration dans les temps est que l'Église distribuait de l'argent aux membres. Ouais. C'était quelque chose qu'il fallait vraiment corriger, expliquer aux gens. Nous avons eu le temps d'expliquer même aux autorités qui venaient prier avec nous. On nous a dit que vous distribuez de l'argent aux gens qui arrivent. Et nous avons eu le temps d'expliquer le programme d'entraide, comment il fonctionne. Après avoir entendu tout ce que l'Église fait sur le plan entraide, il a dit, ça c'est son nom, vous êtes la seule Église qui fait ça. Ouais. La seule Église qui s'occupe des gens. Mais ce n'est qu'un malentendu de la part de ceux qui ne vous connaissent pas, qui pensent que c'est de l'argent distribué. Ce n'est pas de l'argent distribué, mais c'est un principe, un programme qui a été établi et qui fonctionne correctement.
President Mabaya also highlighted one of the surprises to many people who attend our church for the first time. Quote, "These days, many churches have loud singing and group prayers all at the same time, but before it was not like that. Now people are used to that sort of thing. But when people come to our meeting, everything is calm. One person prays on behalf of everyone else. One person teaches on behalf of everybody. It's different. And there are people who say, it's too cold in your church, too cold. In our church, people move around, they dance, but here it's too cold. But the great advantage the church has is that it teaches correct principles. End of quote. Newcomers also appreciate the chance they have to engage in discussions with other members during class time, rather than just listen to a teacher lecture. In addition to people's attraction to the Book of Mormon, a restored priesthood, modern prophets, honest stewardship of donated funds, and the calm and order they feel within church meetings, the Congolese are inspired by our teachings about the central role of the family in the plan of salvation. Family ties are especially strong in rural areas. No rush, no fuss. Chores like washing in a bucket or a stream could be done at a leisurely pace. Here two women talk while a father plays in the shade with the baby. In the background, lunch cooks on a charcoal stove. Except for the introduction of cell phones into family life, the scene had not changed much for decades. Unfortunately, however, like elsewhere in the world, family ties are fraying in the DR Congo, especially in larger cities. Mike, an artist who was a member of our ward, was passionate about the importance of carrying positive family traditions forward in the country and resisting modern materialistic trends that reinforce selfishness and the fragmentation of society. One evening, Elder Bob Day and Sister Sharon Alsop Day told us of a visit to Mike's home and studio, shown in the background of this photo. The studio in question is in the entry of the home, just a few feet square. His living room, with a day bed and television, is small enough you can reach across it. He lives here with his brother. Because the unpaved roads that lead to his home were strewn with garbage, the Days thought it was remarkable that the dirt path that leads to his home was swept and immaculate. As they walked to the house, they felt uncomfortable leaving all their footprints in such a carefully maintained path. After visiting his home, Mike took them to the Congo River. There they saw men and women laboriously hammering with primitive tools on the river's rock bank, with children carrying the small stones they had chipped away in plastic buckets on their heads, to be sold as construction gravel. When the Days returned to Mike's place, they found the path had been carefully swept again. None of their footprints had remained. The Days purchased Mike's painting for their apartment. The figure in the middle is Jesus Christ. On the left are finely dressed Congolese people who emulate the world, attracted by Western values and culture of money and status. Tall buildings of a modern city loom in the background. On the right are the humble people of the DR Congo, in simple traditional dress, with their small villages standing behind them. Mike, who is quite involved in family history, saw this as a reminder to his people that they should not forget their roots. In the foreground are the happy children of the DR Congo, the foundation on which the hopes for the future of the country rest. Mike was right to focus on the children as the key to Congo's future. The children are beautiful. Though many, especially in the rural areas, lacked access to schools and basic services, you got the feeling that their life on the whole was more wholesome and positive than in the city. We enjoyed this joyous song of thanks and welcome upon visiting one of the villages on the way to Zongo Falls. The villages are beautiful. Here people can grow or catch their own food, while many in the city work long hours immersed in noise and grime, but still don't have enough to eat. These children are surrounded by immediate and extended family, while many in the city are orphans. This young boy wears a Lego shirt. He does not know what Legos are and probably has never seen a store-bought toy. These boys made a soccer ball for themselves out of old plastic bags and elastics. This little fellow had never seen a candy sucker before. He started to suck on the wrapper. I helped him take the wrapper off. He liked it much better that way. Congolese fathers and mothers who are attracted to the gospel know that it will be a blessing to their families. Whatever their physical circumstances, the mutual love in the expressions of these two primary children, a brother and a sister, is evident. Look at this sweet family of a member friend, Delphin Matandu. Though their means are modest, they are raising 7 beautiful children, and also have sacrificed to help their nephew from Matadi, at Wright, prepare for a mission. Later, the nephew traveled to the mission office in Kinshasa to open his call letter, as there was no easy way to mail it to him. We were the first witnesses to his joy. He is serving in his native country, the DR Congo, as he has always dreamed of doing. Now consider the situation of Glody, a young man in Kinshasa who we helped prepare for baptism. Glody's extended family, not all shown here, is crowded into 2 small structures full of people and things, with mattresses for sleeping placed on the floor. Outside the complex, they have a little fruit and vegetable stand. The mother has a part-time job. The older brother, in back, standing next to his wife, is an auto mechanic. Glody is trying to stay in school, but money is tight. The structure where they live is built on the edge of an unfinished building. There are many such buildings in Gombe, stark reminders of unrealized ambitions of the temporarily well-to-do who had enough money to start such projects but ran out before finishing. Like the parable of the man who began to build a tower, the wreck that remained stood to mock them. The blankets seen in the background provided an enclosure for a group who appropriated part of the building for their church. They sang and shouted loudly throughout my visit. This little girl was rightly the darling of the family. We had a family prayer before I left. My heart was so full of love for this sweet family. We were all in tears as we said goodbye. Here is Glody's sister on her baptismal day. She is a beautiful and pure child. When she saw Glody begin to read the Book of Mormon for the first time, she told him that he wasn't doing it right, that he shouldn't start reading until he had first offered a prayer. Eventually, additional members of Glody's family, the 2 sisters that left, were baptized. A brother was also baptized on the same day, second from right on the front row. During the time we spent in the DR Congo, I became more convinced than ever of the truthfulness of President Spencer W. Kimball's well-known statement that the gospel solves the problems of the world. I see evidence everywhere in how people's lives improve in every dimension when they embrace the gospel and apply it in their lives. Their problems and challenges do not disappear immediately, but because of the gospel, they have the resources to endure and even overcome many of these challenges in time. To close this segment, we will listen to the Gombe Jebe Ward primary sing When My Mother Calls Me. Half the primary sings the melody, while the other half loudly sounds out in repeated rhythm, Obey, meaning obey.